Hey, what's going on, Movie Maniacs? I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And this is the previews, everybody's favorite part of the movie.
So right now, July has come and gone, but the summer movie season is still rolling along.
Yep.
And we went ahead and checked out over the 4th of July weekend, Midsommar, directed by Ari Aster, starring Florence Pugh, Jack Rayner, and Will Poulter.
Yes, yes. So this movie, I didn't know about it until actually fairly recently, probably the past few months. From our past review, I did mention Hereditary was my favorite film of last year, and this comes from the same visual director, Ari Aster, who made that movie. So when I heard he was making this movie and saw the trailer was great. I was so excited to see what else he could do. And I'll start off saying I was pretty disappointed.
Whoa!
I was pretty disappointed.
I feel the same exact way. I wasn't entirely disappointed. There were elements that were great, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I thought it was where I feel Jordan Peele with Us just took a little bit of a hit when he released Us. Ari Aster took, I would say, a step back.
I mean, I wouldn't say Us was a hit to Jordan Peele.
No, it was like it wasn't as good as it wasn't as good.
It was different. It was different.
It wasn't as good. Period. We both said that. So don't go back on your words.
I don't know. I think I said that.
No,
I had to rewatch it. I said I had to rewatch it.
Yeah, but you didn't say it was better than Get Out. Nobody in their right mind would ever say it's better than Get Out. I'm sorry.
Really good. It was different.
But this one was definitely a downgrade from Hereditary.
Yeah. There's no questions asked. This is a huge downgrade from Hereditary.
Yeah, but really from the get-go, I guess, the biggest issue that I had with it is, like, once you watch the trailer, you totally know what's going to happen. It's one of those movies where you know everything that's going to happen, you just have to question how it's going to happen. You know, like, every character that I guess I thought was going to die, yeah, they died. I didn't know how they were going to die, but, I mean, it was just a matter of time before they did that.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot talk about this movie without, like, comparing it to, I guess, Wicker Man.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Because that's what I was so excited for, because, I mean, Wicker Man, I never saw the original Wicker Man, but I've only seen the one with Nicolas Cage.
Ahoy there.
What is it? What's wrong, sister?
And it's hilarious. It was a great movie. But I was hoping they were going to take, because I think that's a cool idea, going into this unknown cult and seeing how they live their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, and their inner workings.
Yeah, and for coming from Ari Aster, I was like, oh, it's going to get really dark and really creepy and very tension-building. But I didn't get that at all. And there was parts in it that were funny, like Wicker Man. But the thing is that Wicker Man did not take itself seriously. This movie did. It really did.
See, I felt Wicker Man did take itself seriously, but it's so ridiculous, and Nicolas Cage's overacting is so ridiculous, it makes it funny, right?
Yeah.
But with this movie, I feel that I'm with you. There were parts that were really funny, but it was almost a dark comedy, you know?
I mean,
I didn't feel like the director meant to do that.
I feel like he was trying to build tension and trying to set things up a certain way, but it just was poorly executed.
I think so too. The thing with Midsommar is I think the movie starts off brilliantly.
It does.
It does. It really shows you Florence Pugh's character Danny and the struggle that she has and her faults, because I like movies that drag out a little bit, that build up that tension, and this movie really just socks you in the face because it's really disturbing. It's really sad. It makes you feel uncomfortable right in the beginning, and I'm like...
It does to a degree. It was... I was, feeling Florence Pugh's emotions and trauma that she went through. I was feeling that. But that was another issue I had with it, is because they set up this story this way, the reason why she's going this is to get away, you know, and try to deal with this emotional trauma that she just went through. But they kind of get rid of it.
When someone goes through such a tragic event like Danny does in this movie, and you're really, I don't want to say close to her, but you're, I guess, acquaintances, you're not going to bring up that moment a lot. And I felt she was still affected by that moment, because anytime someone would mention it, or it would be brought up, or she would think of it, she immediately broke down. And I feel like that is more realistic than
But they never brought it up. They
did bring it up when they're talking about going to Midsommar.
Going there. But I'm saying, okay, so they get there. Okay, that's 20 minutes in the movie, but then they get rid of it. They never bring it up ever
because
again.
there's imagery of that stuff going on, and she breaks down, and there's the part in the flight too where she breaks down.
And we're talking about leading up to there. Sure, okay, but when they get there, they never bring it up again. Minus there's a part in the trailer where something appears behind her. Besides that, they never bring it up ever again.
They bring it up in different ways. They don't slap you in the face.
Oh, they might just say, "Oh, they went through this. Oh yeah, I did." Yeah, there's a lot of imagery sprinkled throughout this movie that was leading to just her psyche and how this event affected her and how it's going to affect her experience in Midsommar.
And I think it really did. Had she have not gone through that, I think this story would have went a completely different way. And we can't really get into it without getting into spoilers. But I think it went the right route, I guess. Although it took a long. This movie's almost.
It's 2.5 hours.
It's 2.5 hours,
yeah.
And it felt 2.5 hours, And this movie, just like Hereditary built up that dread, right? Like you're just like, oh no.
Brilliantly.
Yeah, this movie didn't do that well.
I was watching this movie, it was almost like an insider look at this culture more than, I guess, this psychological horror movie that it was selling itself to be. And don't get me wrong, I was really interested in seeing this cult. And I wasn't saying I was ever bored, really, but I just feel like it was doing a great job of showing you this cult. But then there were moments like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be a horror movie or a psychological horror movie. Okay, now it's time to throw some dark imagery in there and throw some scares in there. And I feel like it just fell flat.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I feel my biggest gripe, right, is it's building up to what is happening. Then something happens right in the middle where I'm like, okay, this is where the ball's going to start rolling. And then it screeches to a halt to not really do much.
Agreed. There were many moments like that throughout the middle of the movie where there's something happens like, okay, this is where it starts picking up.
And it didn't happen where Hereditary, that one thing happens and it just keeps going.
I mean, the reason why this movie's 2.5 hours because half the time they're sitting around a table and
taking acid trips and eating mushrooms. Now let's talk about the things we actually liked about it. Okay, Florence Pugh.
She did great.
Unreal.
Yes,
she's our girl.
Yeah,
we loved her and fighting with
my family.
Fighting with my family, and I would say this role as Danny, it is the second best performance of 2019. I think number one is still Lupita Nyong'o in Us. This is number two. This is number two for me. I think she does a great job. She sells her sorrow and loneliness and her being excited, and she does great. But not discrediting any of the other casts, right?
No, not at all.
Jack Rayner as her boyfriend Christian, great job, and you see his struggle and you get his struggle. Will Poulter as Mark, Wilhelm Blomgren as Pele, the guy that brings them there. He was good too, and of course, we're gonna give our shout out to William Jackson Harper, who was Josh. He was, he had a purpose to be there too, and all the acting was great. And what do you think?
I mean, yeah, the acting was definitely good, but I feel like the best part of this movie was definitely the cinematography.
Oh yeah, Ari Aster and the cinematographer.
It was beautiful to watch, just because the whole movie is so bright, and just some of these weird structures that were just like, there were some shots. Like, I'm gonna bring up like that main temple in the movie.
Pyramid.
Like it was bringing me back to almost something like Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
and it was great to visually. It was really fun to look at.
Absolutely, and when this film does get dark, it's still bright. It's still a very colorful movie, and I do like that. And I think he frames the camera in such a good way where you really get to soak in a lot, because even when those long shots come in, you soak in a lot, and that's why I'm excited to watch Midsommar again. Now, granted, I don't know if I'm going to watch it again because it really disturbed me, to be honest. I can't wait to see the hints and subtleness that he puts in his film, the clues of what you're going to see moving forward, like he did in Hereditary, where you see the sign of that demon that they want to bring back. I'm excited to watch that again.
But besides those things, there's nothing else for me. So visually, it was incredible, and then acting was great.
Yeah, but story-wise, it just took a little too slow to get there.
Yeah, and just there was no payoff. It was a very poorly payoff, and then. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's something that happens at the end with all the women surrounding.
Yep.
And that's going to be the big scene everybody brings up.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that was a scene that was supposed to be like disturbing and build tension and just like it was supposed to be like the climax, like, oh, this cult's so messed up. But I was in a pretty decently packed theater and we were all dying laughing. I was dying laughing.
I went and saw this movie and I was by myself in the theater. I was deeply disturbed.
Really?
And I guess overall, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go 2 jazz hands.
Put up your left jazz hand, then your right jazz hand, and then wave them.
Out of 5.
That low?
It just didn't do anything for me, man.
Okay.
It was especially. I mean, and I hate to compare this to Hereditary, but I can't help it because Hereditary was Ari Aster's first film, and it was the big selling point for me to go see this movie in general. If it wasn't by him, I probably wouldn't have even seen the movie.
Yeah.
But so it was just a huge disappointment, and just for being such a huge fan of Hereditary.
It's a bummer. But for me, I'm actually going to go ahead and give it a little bit higher than you, although I didn't love it. I liked it. I don't know if I'll watch this movie ever again.
I'm not going to watch it again,
but
probably.
I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 OHA marks out of 5.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Well, that's it for this week, Movie Maniacs. If you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit that bell icon so you don't miss anything, and then we'll see you on the next episode of the previews.